What if the holiest man in history lived where no one could see him? No crowds, no churches, no disciples, no recognition, just silence, heat, sand, and God, long before monasteries were built, before monks filled valleys, before holy orders shaped the church. There was one man who disappeared into the desert and never came back. His name was Paul, not Paul the Apostle, not Paul the Preacher, but Paul the First Hermit, the man who walked away from civilization, from wealth, from safety, from family, and chose a cave as his home for nearly a century. He lived so far from the world that the world forgot him, until one day, another holy man went searching, because God whispered, "There's someone in the desert holier than you," and that journey would reveal a life so radical, so pure, so surrendered, that even the wild animals honored him. This is not a story of sermons, not a story of debates, not a story of councils or emperors. This is a story of total surrender. A boy who lost everything, a young man who refused to betray his faith, a fugitive who found freedom in the wasteland, a soul who lived alone with God for almost 90 years. No one crowned him, no one praised him, no one recorded his miracles while he lived, but heaven watched, and when the church finally discovered him, they realized the first true monk had already existed, unknown, unseen, unchanged by the world. If you love stories that pull you into another world, stories of courage, mystery, and faith beyond comfort, like this video, so more people can discover forgotten saints. Comment where you're watching from. Even deserts have voices. And subscribe, because stories like this remind us that holiness is not loud. Sometimes it is hidden in silence. This is a story of St. Paul the First Hermit, the man who vanished into the desert and found God there. And it begins with a boy whose world suddenly collapsed. Paul was born around the year 230 AD in Egypt, during the time when the Roman Empire still ruled with iron strength. His family was wealthy, respected, and well-connected. They owned land. They had servants. They lived in comfort. From birth, Paul's life was meant to be easy. He received the best education. He learned Greek and Egyptian writing. He studied mathematics, literature, and philosophy. He wore fine clothes. He ate well. He had a future filled with opportunity. But Paul was different from other boys of wealth. He was quiet, thoughtful, gentle, while others spoke of business and power. Paul asked questions about the soul, while others planned marriages and estates. Paul read sacred writings shared secretly among Christians, while others enjoyed festivals. Paul spent time alone, thinking about God. And then tragedy struck. When Paul was still young, both his parents died suddenly. Some say from illness, others say from political conflict. Whatever the cause, in one moment, Paul was left alone in the world. His inheritance was vast, but his heart was empty. He went to live with his sister and her husband, expecting family care. But greed is a powerful poison. His brother-in-law desired Paul's inheritance. And soon, the house that once welcomed him became cold. Then came something even more dangerous. A new persecution against Christians began. The Emperor Decius ordered that every citizen must offer sacrifice to Roman gods, or be imprisoned, tortured, or killed. Many Christians fled. Some denied their faith. Some were executed. Paul's brother-in-law saw opportunity. If Paul is accused as a Christian, he thought, his property will be taken by the state, and I will keep what remains. And so betrayal entered the house. Paul learned of the plan. His own family intended to deliver him to authorities, not for faith, but for money. That night, Paul made a decision. He would not wait for chains. He would not wait for prison. He would not wait for betrayal to strike. He left everything behind. No servants, no gold, no clothes of wealth, no inheritance, only a small cloak, bread, and trust in God. He walked into the desert. At first, it was escape, a hiding place, a way to survive. The desert was cruel. The sun burned. Water was scarce. Wild beasts roamed. Loneliness screamed in the silence. Paul kept walking. Days passed, then weeks, then months. Eventually, he found a cave hidden between rocks. A small spring flowed nearby. A palm tree gave fruit and shade. It was harsh, but enough. Paul fell to his knees. "This will be my home," he whispered, "until God decides otherwise." At first, fear visited him at night. Strange sounds echoed. Hunger tested him. Doubt whispered that he would die forgotten. But prayer became his breath. He prayed standing. He prayed kneeling. He prayed in silence. He prayed in tears. Slowly, fear faded. Loneliness softened. The desert no longer felt empty. God was there. Paul's hair grew long. His beard thickened. His clothes wore away. He wove palm leaves into simple coverings. He lived on dates and water. Later, a raven began bringing him half a loaf of bread each day. Just enough. Years passed, then decades. No visitor came. No letter reached him. No news from the world mattered. Paul had entered time with God. He did not know that he would become the first hermit in Christian history, the pioneer of a path thousands would later follow. He simply lived, prayed, survived, loved God, and the world forgot him. But heaven did not, because when God hides a soul, it is not to lose it, but to prepare it for revelation. And that revelation was coming. Another holy man would one day walk into the desert and discover that Paul was still there. Paul lived in the desert for many decades. Time lost meaning. Seasons changed. Sand shifted. Stars moved across the sky. But Paul remained, praying, fasting, and living in absolute simplicity. His body became thin. His skin darkened from sun. His eyes grew bright with peace. He had no books, no teachers, no sacraments. Yet God himself became his teacher. In silence, Paul learned wisdom deeper than libraries. In hunger, he learned dependence. In solitude, he learned love without distraction. Wild animals approached him without fear. Stories later told of lions lying near his cave and snakes retreating at his presence. The desert, once hostile, became his companion. But holiness always draws attention, even across vast emptiness. Hundreds of miles away, another man lived in the desert. Anthony, later called Saint Anthony the Great. He had disciples. He was known as a holy monk. People traveled to see him. One day, during prayer, Anthony heard God's voice. "There's a servant of mine in the desert greater than you." Anthony was shocked. He, the great desert monk, was told another was holier and unknown. So Anthony began a journey across the desert to find him. He walked for days, asked wandering nomads, followed whispers of legends about a mysterious holy man. At last he saw a cave. An old man stood before it, covered in palm leaf garments, white hair flowing, face shining with peace. Paul, at first, both men wept. Two souls meeting after lifetimes of solitude. They embraced. They prayed. They spoke of God like old friends. Then a raven flew down. In its beak, a full loaf of bread. Paul smiled. "For years," he said, "the raven brought me half a loaf. But today, God sent a whole one, because he knew I would have a guest." They broke bread together. That meeting became legendary, the first recorded gathering of hermits in Christian memory. Anthony begged Paul to come live with other monks, to teach, to guide, to lead. Paul refused gently. "My path is here," he said. "Each soul has its calling." They prayed again. Then Anthony prepared to leave, but Paul stopped him. "Tomorrow," Paul said, "return with a cloak given to you by Bishop Athanasius. I will need it." Anthony did not understand, but obeyed. He left before dawn. When Anthony returned the next day, he found Paul lying peacefully at the entrance of the cave. His soul had departed. After nearly 90 years in the desert, Paul had completed his life's offering. Anthony wept. He wrapped Paul's body in the cloak, and as he dug a grave, two lions appeared, scratching the earth beside him, helping to dig the burial place. Anthony buried Paul with reverence. Then he returned to his own monastery and told the world, "There was a man holier than I, Paul the Hermit." And so Paul, who had lived hidden, became known after death. But during his life, Paul's suffering was real. Cold nights, blistering days, sickness without medicine, silence without human voice, temptations of despair, memories of family betrayal, long years with no comfort. Yet in all this, Paul never returned to the world. He never softened his discipline. He never abandoned prayer. His suffering purified him. His solitude transformed him. His obedience shaped the future of monastic life. Because after Paul, thousands would enter deserts, caves, monasteries, cells, following the path he walked first.